It's a beautiful red day right here. Welcome to Journalist Roundtable on Global Television. TGIF, thank God it is Friday. What happens on Friday? Friday is when the weekend gets started. But then, can we help you get the weekend started on this note? Because I know some persons are watching us on social media right now on YouTube. Some are watching on DSTV back at home, especially those who left work very early. But whatever it is, we would like to bring to you some major headlines from the National Daily today, as much that time would allow us to take. But then, are you aware that something is happening in FCT as workers actually have appealed the judgment from the industrial court asking them to resume duty? Oh my God. Well, sometimes you will think, well, the minister of FCT said he's open to dialogue. But then, immediately after the court judgment, the workers were asked to resume back to work. But there is an appeal saying, well, we would continue the strike, the protest would continue. And apart from that, some things are happening in Rivers State. I think the issue of the FCT minister is both in FCT, cases in FCT and cases in Rivers State, his hometown. We'll look at all of that and a number of other headlines today for you on Journalists Round Table. The table is very round. The table can continue, and that's the reason you are right there, comfortably seated. Let's get on the ride. Two guests on the program today. As usual, I have in the studio right here a journalist, and of course, I also have someone joining us online, okay? And of course, they are both journalists because it is Journalist Hangout. Even though you are out there, let me say you can make your contributions on our YouTube page. Drop your comments, your reactions, and we will pick it up from there. In the studio right here, as we get into the conversation, is Ubong Usoro, a journalist and of course a political analyst. It's good to have you join us on Roundtable. Thank you very much, Ubong Usoro. And of course, Ben Essen, another journalist, would be joining us or online via Zoom, and of course, he will be adding his voice to the conversation too. Let's begin with the impasse in Rivers State. A lot of people will tell you, which party, okay, does the FCT minister belong? But right now, there is a move in Rivers State to curtail what is happening. And as a matter of fact, the National Secretary, Bashiru, have said, well, APC is working out modalities to settle what is happening in Rivers State. We could remember that during the impeachment, the APC caucus members, the leaders, the party leaders intervened in the situation before it even got to the judge. Now, do you think, all right, that no matter what happened in Rivers State, because a lot of people will tell you the kind of grants the FCT minister have in Rivers State, even the governor does not have it, according to some people. And some people will tell you, hey, come on, what are you saying? We're talking about a governor here, the #1 citizen of the state, has everything at his beck and call, as a matter of fact. Now, what do you think? This step by the APC leaders, you think it's a welcome development, or you feel, no, this is something that Fubara can actually handle on his own?
Of course, I think that the APC at this point is no longer a bystander in this political rift that we've seen in Rivers State. Prior to now, where Governor Similaye Fubara was a member of the PDP, you can as well say, okay, the APC had some, they weren't directly involved in conversations for whatever was going on in Rivers, but at this point they are a primary participant and not just somebody who is looking at the conflict from outside. They have a stake in whatever is going on in Rivers because the governor, Similaye Fubara, is an APC governor, and we saw him with the card number 001. So that's very clear that the governor is an APC member. And also, this issues primarily is between the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and the House of Representatives. And you are clear about the fact that both sides are members of the APC. So the people who have the most leverage to be able to end whatever conflicts they have is the APC and the APC leadership. Because on the other side too, Governor Nyesom Wike, who may claim and say, okay, I'm not an APC member, but even if he's not an APC member, we know that he's very close to the APC because he works with the APC administration. Come on, he's a minister of the Federal Capital Territory under an APC administration. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the national leader of the APC, and he works directly as a minister under the president. So the APC has all the leverage to be able to pull the strings to be able to solve the issue. So I think that it's a step in the right direction where the APC is trying to intervene, talk to its members who are the primary focus persons in the political conflicts we have in Rivers State. The House of Representative members, all 27, 26 of them, APC members, so APC could speak to them. The governor, APC members, APC could speak to them, so it gives them a common front. Also, we could even talk about the fact that the president, who is also an APC president, can also talk to them. So there's leverage, but I don't know how far Senator Bashiru will be able to go to speaking to people like Nyesom Wike, because already they've had conflicts. Remember when he came out to say that the governor is the 001, and Nyesom Wike also replied him, and a lot of persons also replied him. The former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, I replied him and said, you are speaking as if, yes, you are secretary of the APC, national secretary, but in terms of deliverance, in terms of what you bring to the table, what is your capacity? You could not even win your Osun State for the president at the time, right? But this is somebody who was not a member of the APC, but has done more for your party than you, who is the national secretary. So those discussions came up, all right? And people also talked about the fact that if you want to mediate in a conflict, you are not supposed to be seen as having a dog in the fight, which was what we saw with Senator Bashiru starting off. So I think now is a good place to start, because you cannot go to conflict resolution already knowing the party that is at fault. That is not how to mediate in conflicts. If you want to mediate in a conflict, you go there as a tabula rasa. You know nothing about the conflict as a clean slate. Allow all parties to air out their grievances, so you can give whatever advice you want to give from a fair, unbiased ground. Because some person already saw it as if the secretary of the party was biased, right? So that could also influence how he's perceived going forward. But I think it's a good thing that Senator Bashiru at this point is, of course, the secretary of the party, is a major leader in the party, could galvanize party members to see how they can work towards resolving the constant issues and issues that we've had in Rivers State over the years. And the president could mediate to the FCT minister is very close to a lot of persons in the APC that could speak to him. A lot of his followers have gone to the APC. He has a foothold. The APC chairman in Rivers State, Tony Okocha, is close to him. So there's a lot of leverage that the party has that they can maximize those leverage and see how to solve this impasse that we've had in Rivers State for a long time.
All right. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. But then, as it is right now, APC, all right, on their own parts, they feel, okay, this person is not in our party, but is working for our party, all right? And somebody said something, and I don't know if you would differ in opinion. The person said there are even people in the All Progressive Congress that the FCT minister is being valued more than they are. Just like you just pointed out to just now about what is happening right there in the West. So as it is right now, can we say the FCT minister should concentrate, all right, on PDP and leave an APC governor alone? Or you feel worse come to worse, people will support, let's say, the leadership? Because right now, whether you like it or not, one one of Wike's leg is in the APC. All right. I don't know the other leg. They said there was a suspension. That was what we're told. But he said there is no suspension. So now, can you categorically say, well, if worse come to worse between Wike and Fubara, APC will pick Wike or Fubara? Who stands a chance of being, okay, no do, let's go for this one?
If you keep the FCT minister and you keep the governor, with due respect to him, Governor Similar Fubara, and you ask maybe somebody to make a choice, some persons may want to look at antecedents. People won't make choices based on facts. They look at the antecedents. Who are those that have won elections? The FCT minister won election in 1999 to become a local government chairman of the upper local government area in Rivers State. He won election again in 2003 to become local government chairman. In 2007, he was one of those who stood to say no. Rotimi Amechi won that election, and he was a major supporter. In fact, he was a campaign DG for Rotimi Amechi, right? So he's proven time and time again that he could win election. That was 2007. 2011, the same thing. He stood his ground. They fell out of whatever relationship they had in 2015 or there 2014, getting to 2015. Right, he came to, when he was nominated to Abuja to be minister for education. He went back to Rivers State, even when Rotimi Amechi had the power of incumbency. That was 2014, 2015. He ran that election as a minister and he won. So he has shown capacity over time. Won his first term election, went back again. Remember, the second term election was very difficult. So it was one of the most difficult, apart from Kanu election. That was one of the most difficult elections that we've seen. And he still persevered. So he has shown, and even when he finished in 2023, he was able to also bring Similar Fubara. Similar Fubara did little or no campaign. The FCC minister was the one going from place to place to campaign on his behalf. We rarely even heard him speak at the time. But he still delivered him. So he has shown capacity over across board that he can win an election, right? So, and similar Fubara, the only election he has won is the 2023 general elections, and he won it because of the influence and how strong politically the FCT minister is. We could talk about him being overbearing. We could understand the issues of morality as to leaving similar Fubara to govern. That's clear. But we want to look at the politics of being on the ground and the politics of being solid politically.
No, all right.
It's not a question of who is higher than who, because it's clear.
Okay.
The FCT minister has, even now, in his own state, the FCT minister, let's assume it without conceding, is in Abuja, right? The Similar Fubara is governor of Rivers State. In Rivers State House of Assembly, who is controlling more members of the House? He's the FCT minister.
All right. I think Ben is standing by. Right. Well, I'm still going to bring you up. Ben is standing by. Ben is joining us online to be part of the conversation. It's good to have you join us, Ben.
I'm privileged. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. You have been joined by myself and Usoro. Usoro is also in the studio here. Ulbon Usoro is also in the studio here.
Okay, Usoro. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Ben. Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll bring you in very soon. But then Usoro was trying to react on what is happening in Rivers State. So after that, I'm going to come back to you so that you can react to it, because APC is discussing with Wike, all right, to resolve the issue, all right. And of course, the National Secretary of the APC has brought that to the fore. All right, Usoro, you were talking about who is more all right, I don't know, there's a way they call it in politics, who is more, you know, essential or important to them.
You talk about the political viability. Who is
yes,
more viable?
who is more viable, who has
yes.
more capacity.
And I just laid some statistics because facts don't lie. The FCT minister has won election in 1999, in 2003, in 2007, in 2011, in 2015, in 2023. Every election cycle is being on a ballot or any person is supported has won election. So he has shown political viability. Even now in Rivers State, the House of Representatives, 26 members pledged allegiance to the FCT minister. All the local government chairman right now in Rivers State pledged allegiance to the FCT minister. These are the structures in the corrupt Nigerian political system that we use to win elections. So he has those arsenals in his hand. So I think it wouldn't make sense politically to choose a political neophyte who has the only election similar to Fubara won is 2023 general election, and that's the only election that we know he has been part of. And he won it as a result of the machineries deployed by the FCT minister.
All right. Let me get to Ben. Ben, I'm coming to you now. All right. Ben, yes. With what is happening in Rivers State, do you think there is need for the intervention of APC leaders, or you feel Fubara is the governor, he should be able to handle the FCT minister?
Well, when you look at the drama that has been happening in Rivers State, you know, the Fubara, the executive governor of Rivers State, has just decamped to the APC. And some people will really say, anyway, political party ideologies seems to be the same. On that of the APC, I think the AP Fubara has to stand with his 2 feet and learning the processes of what the APC looks like and the strategy of how they have been using to talk to other governors. And that is why, if you watch what has been happening, the National Secretary seems to be speaking in such a way that at the end, it looks as if Fubara cannot really speak on behalf of the APC. But looking at how events have been able to unfold, I do know that the PDP, where Fubara was unable to give him that particular figuratively life support, so that we're able to use in running around and surviving the fight. I think also that Fubara now seems to be talking at the federal level of the APC, because if the National Secretary is making that statement that Fubara is their own, then you just understand that politics 24 hours is quite a short time for Fubara to start speaking the APC language. And I really think it is going to be in a situation where they will really say, okay, let's sit and discuss that Fubara is on our account. We cannot as well allow him to be being washed by his dirty linen outside the public. So I think APC seems to be more organized now in protecting Fubara, unlike when he was with the PDP.
All right, but as it is right now, if you want to talk about capacity, because you can't say categorically if the FCT minister is in APC, but we all know he's working in the administration of APC. If you want to talk about capacity, who do you feel the All Progressive Congress will throw their wings behind between himself and the FCT minister?
Come again.
Can you hear me? Ben, can you hear me? All right. This is what I was saying. I don't know if you can hear me. All right. We'll get connected with Ben again.
Okay, I can hear you now, Ramsey. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was trying to say, yes. If you want to talk about capacity, for instance, all right, and viability between Fubara as a governor and the FCT minister, who is more relevant to the All Progressive Congress? Because it's, you know, politics is a game, you know, and everyone wants to pick up throw their wing behind someone who has capacity. So what do you think between the two?
Well, when it has,
okay.
Well, the FCT minister has established some form of capacity, maybe at a state level and at the federal level, and subsequently, you understand that even when the slogan Mr. Project from Rivers State coming to the federal capital territory, we have seen some changes, we have seen some projects going on here and there. But the most important thing also is that the FCT minister still want to hold control with structures in the federal, in the Rivers State, and that is why right from when he was Minister of State for Education, I remember during an interview he said that when Rotimi Amaechi nominated him to be a minister, it was a sign that a strategy to make him to be far from the people. So he was always coming home weekly. So that means there is something that is very, very consequential for him. He wants to retain structure, but in capacity, this Governor Fubara is just entering into APC, and the APC has their own philosophy, unlike the PDP. But if Fubara is able to learn the rudiments of his godfather, I am sure that he will be able to outsmart him. Because if you ask me, I'm sure that Fubara didn't tell Mason Wike that is the campaign. He just all of a sudden, I said, this is where I was. So when we talk about capacity, I think that the governor is giving the chance, he will be able to break the record compared to the minister of the federal capital territory.
Oh, all right, Ben, you can't talk about Wike and separate him from the things happening in FCT at the moment. Are you aware that FCT workers have been on strike, and the case went, the FCT minister took the case to the industrial court, and there was a ruling?
Yes.
Yes. That ruling has been appealed, all right, by the FCT workers, and they've gone. They are insisting, they are pushing to go back on strike if they have not embarked on the strike already. So what were you expecting this issue to get to this? Because some persons were saying at least there should be dialogue. They should dialogue and settle whatever the rift is.
Well, when you are talking about dialogue, Ramsey, you are also aware that we have seen the NLC who say they are in dialogue, that at the end of the day they are going to go back and inform the National Executive Council of the NLC, for example. At the end of the day, midnight towards morning, you just notice that the them and government have been on the same page. When you look at the FCT minister, this is not the first time FCT staffs are working. The other time, the primary school teachers have strike. It took the likes of a very dark man to come and wear school uniform and be trying to persuade the ministry, so that primary school teachers can go back to school. This is not supposed to be so. We have seen a health, for example, health workers going on strike. I really don't think that this is what we should be discussing. Maybe the FCT must have been working continuously in terms of capacity development and project. But I tell you the truth, if you tamper with workers' welfare, allowances and bonuses, all your effort that you have been doing will be erased completely, because you will see chanting, you will see placard, and the placard will spell a certain types of language. Is it not in this federal capital territory that you saw people at the front of Ministry of Finance, they came with coffee there to come and protest non-payment of contractors, though that is not related to the FCT. But what I mean is that if the FCT minister wants to be considerate in making sure that he is consistent in his positive policies and development, issue of workers' welfare should be of primary concern, because if doctors start leaving the country outside, then you know what is going to happen to the well-being of the citizen in Abuja.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Let me get to you now, Usoro. Number one, something happened during the first strike before they got to court. What exactly happened? When they were protesting, they got support from NLC, NUT even joined without, I don't know if there was an invitation. And like Ben just said, we've had series of strike, all right, in the FCT since the minister came on board. Some persons are saying, well, the distraction from River State is even part of it. Some persons said, okay, January two-chance activity went haywire because the FCT minister was not around. And some persons said, well, whether he was around or not, other security operatives were there. But coming to this strike now, the way this strike is going, do you think it is the right way for it to go? Because some persons are saying, well, why not negotiate? The minister will come and go, but the FCT workers will remain. So, you know, putting one or two together, what do you think about this whole situation? Is it becoming too much, the actions and reactions?
I think that it is normal that when you have workers, of course there will be protestations. People will feel that you should have done better in several fields, right? And they have the rights. Human beings have liberties and they have freedom to raise votes and say this is not what we want, this is not what we want. If you follow the conversations, you know that it is not about salary payments. It is not. This particular strike, some issues have been mentioned, and some of those issues, I don't know if you saw the interview the FCT minister granted some days ago in his office here in Abuja, and he said some of these issues he has reneged, he has also shifted grounds, but primary issues is not going to shift grounds, and he has stated why. For instance, he talked about the issues of contract staff when people retire and they get contract extension. He said he has decided that is not going to happen again. Right? So that other persons could move up the ladder. If you've worked 35 years and you finish, you get a contract of maybe 2-3 years, what then happens to somebody who's supposed to move up the ladder? The person is stagnated until the other person leaves. So he's not going to implement that. And he has been very clear on that. But for other sundry issues, he said, okay, let's see how we can meet halfway. Let's see how we can, meet somewhere. And that has been clear. And I think that is what the NLC has also said. Because if you see, the NLC were very much in support of this particular strike as at the time. But the NLC also came out to say, this is what will happen. We've heard the industrial court, the National Industrial Court say continue because the matter is before the court and negotiations can continue, but strike is not allowed. And that's a valid court judgment. Sometimes in Nigeria, we decide to choose what favors us. And we can't run institutions and countries like this. We must be able to abide irrespective of how we feel. We must be able to abide by our institutions. Because if we do not lend credence to supporting our institutions, we'll eventually run into a state of anarchy. And anarchy will not be good for all of us. So institutions are here to regulate, to help us, to midwife our processes, and we must constantly give the needed attention to our institutions. So the National Industrial Court say, for the strike, hold on, continue with your services. Let us see how to work around this. Albeit, I believe that the voices of the FCT workers have been heard loud and clear. But also, let us not also forget that inside the FCT, for instance, we have AMAC, Abuja Municipal Area Council, that is in charge of a lot of other things. But sometimes people used to forget the role of AMAC, and as to everything that happens, they blame the FCT minister. When we talk about the issues of the strike the other time, the FCT minister came out clearly and clarified that the position was primarily as a breakdown of thoughts between AMAC and the teachers, right? And it wasn't directly, it didn't have direct something to do with office. We could talk about that. Yes, it's not totally true. It could be 50-50 and he could use his place as a minister, but he may not be directly involved. We've even seen him call out the AMAC chairman in a public function and say, you didn't do this. At the end of the day, I will be blamed because, and I think it's something a lot of Nigerians have for fun. We like blaming governors, and sometimes we don't even really blame governors like that. We blame the president more. 80% of all the blames in Nigeria we put on the president, and maybe just 30% or a paltry 20 we put it on the governors. Nobody talks about local governments. Nobody talks about area councils. But meanwhile, an area council like Amag is richer almost to the bent of some states. So we have to process this information, not because we don't like you, and not because I don't like the face of the FCT minister. Of course, the stats and the statistics have shown that this is one of the best FCT ministers that we've had in Abuja. We've had just 2 years getting to 3, and the structures, infrastructure is clear as to what is done, right? So negotiations is allowed. This is a democracy. It's not a theocratic government. So people could make protestation. Workers will always demand. Even in the UK, workers go on strike. The NHS went on strike for a long time. Even the UK government was threatening them to relieve them of their duties and get other people to do the job. So workers can go on strike anywhere when things are not being done. But we are not encouraging systems that will be unfair to our Nigerian workers. No. Because that is the burden of the middle class, and we must also be careful that we don't erode our middle class. So it's very important. But these are things that can be sorted out, right? Negotiations are ongoing.
But are you not surprised that there is no negotiation? Because
no, there is negotiation.
Negotiation is gone and the appeal is on.
No, the FCT minister mentioned that they just finished a meeting. I wish the video I'll show you after here. He mentioned that he had a meeting with mandate secretaries. He had a meeting with PEMSEC. He mentioned, and those are the leaders of the workers. He had meetings with them as to the issues, and he has shifted grounds to some of their requests.
So who went to court now? That's
no,
the
it
question.
Doesn't matter.
The appeal.
Anybody can go to court
and make an appeal.
What the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, went to court when the workers went on strike. They have the right to say, please don't stop duty because of how essential their duties are. And the court looked at the causes and granted their request and granted their prayers and said, okay, this is very essential. We could talk about the issues. They are not issues worth stopping labor. Do you know what it means to stop work for 1 day?
Just 1 day in FCT.
It means a lot. So the court looked at the merits of the cases, and so the workers may still not be fully, in support, and they going to appeal is within the ambit of their rights. It's within their right to appeal and say, no, we want to still go back on strike. But what I'm saying now is that negotiations are ongoing, and we hope that in due course some of these issues will be sorted. But we have to be clear, all of the issues cannot be sorted at once. It does not happen anywhere in the world. There will be grounds to be shifted. Sometimes the workers will also shift ground, but the FCT minister too should understand what it depends on the Nigerian workers or the Abuja workers. They also shift ground. So at the end of the day, it's about compromise, finding the best fit for what works for all.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me get back to Ben right now. Ben, I think we need to go back to the Senate right now because some persons are saying there is a game going on in the Senate. And of course, according to one of the papers today, it was on the paper that 2027, all right, waiting game as Senate delay electoral bill. What do you think? What do you make of that statement?
Well, sometimes when we look at the credibility of politicians, we want to questions and try to ask more questions, but the answer is not really given. I really think with what some people, whatever is happening, since the APC is the largest number there in the Senate, you might likely say they are following the footsteps of the executive. But my major concern basically is it really fair when you look at the whole processes and see how can the citizens get the dividends of democracy? Can I go and cast my vote for example, at the end of the day, as you are counting those votes, what I got at the polling unit, that is what will be transmitted get to the IRED, and that is what I really think that we will be able to get. But the elections these days is that you are just making sure you are conducting election, but subsequently, if the likes of European Union, some other election monitoring organization to your election, then you can begin to say that yes, we are going somewhere. You understand me? But with the way things are really going, I really have my doubt, because close, and whatever the National Assembly needs to do, they should do it in such a way that we must be able to get the dividends of democracy. Because the off-season election, that of the Ondo and what do I call it, Edo State, my my major concern is voters turnout. How can somebody say that in the history of the election, maybe in Fourth Republic, that voters turnout is about 22.2% or 22.5%? Then you begin to ask yourself, so what now happen if people are not getting the dividends of democracy, and they now say we are going to stay at home, we are not going to vote? How will the politicians or the National Assembly have a winner in their election? Of course, you saw what happened at the local government election in Rivers State. You saw what happened. Now, polling units were empty. I think whatever needs to be done, the National Assembly should be very thorough and precise. Because if you look at the era of INEC during Professor Morris Iwu of 1999 and what we have now, I really don't know if there is a huge difference. How innovative is INEC? Is INEC a political in nature, or they just happen, then the citizen might likely stay at home, and this is not good for our democracy.
All right. Thank you very much, Ben. So, in other words, what you're trying to say is that there is need for this electoral bill to be looked into immediately. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. There is need. Not only that, people should be able. What happened to extra of result? And when you are now trying to say let's always be addicted to paper and manual types of counting vote, I think this will not help us. Let's Ghana election, for example, look at how elections were conducted there. We're able to see how innovative this able to bring innovative solutions in the system. But here you just have to make sure you shout, you just have to make sure you try. Even Impa, for example, Ramsey, then one of the volunteers has to go to a place to buy ink so that they were able to complete. This is not what we want now in the 21st century, for God's sake. Let the process be thorough so that we can able to have individuals or representatives who will be able to make Nigeria to be great again at every period of time.
All right. Thank you, Ben. I'll get back to you. But Usoro, the way it is, from what Ben is saying right now, is saying it's a necessity to enhance free and fair election. That's the bottom line of what he has said. But then a lot of people in Nigeria have alleged so many things as it has to do with electoral malpractices. Do you think this electoral bill, looking into it, doing a review or whatever, is what we need, or credibility from the area of INEC and other persons involved in the conduct of election?
All right, so we've had several amendments of our electoral bill. We've had it. The last one we had close to 2015, Goodluck Jonathan's the electoral bill was signed into law. In 2015, when Muhammadu Buhari came in, another electoral bill was prepared, but he didn't sign it into law until after he won his second term elections. And that particular bill was also signed into law. that was the electoral bill that became electoral law that led us into the 2023 general elections. Then after the 2023 general elections, a lot of activists raised concerns about the fact that we could do better and raise some observations, which is normal with any legislation. People will always, as democracy progresses, there will be inputs that will be made here and there. And that is what we are seeking, and that's what we are seeing with this constitutional amendment that is going on. And electoral will also be one of the things that I still looked at now. I think that if we want to take a cue of what happened between 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 2019 when we had the elections, we know that the politicians may be a little bit skeptical in signing the electoral bill until maybe after the elections, or even when the Senate and the Houses of Representatives, National Assembly sends it to the President. The President may also be a little bit reluctant in ascending his signature until after the elections, as Mohamed Buhari did, right? So it's about our political will to work our system, because a lot of politicians know that if we were to have a system that is very fair and unbiased, many of them will not be in power. They know that. Many of them will not enjoy the largesse that they enjoy today. But because the system gives them access, they want to maintain the status quo. And whenever they hear change, it frightens them. But even when this is signed into law, it is one thing to even sign into law. Another aspect we have to start looking at is to what degree of implementation, because we could be signed into law, but are we ready to implement? Because those who are going to implement it are still the same Nigerians, are still the same Nigerian police force, the INEC, ad hoc staff. Majorly now still Nigerians. Are we ready for an electoral system and not just an electoral bill? So I'm all in for, let's see how we can make our elections better. Of course, we've had improved elections over time. Even international observers and organizations have rated out. We've seen improvement in our elections, right? Even the Anambra election we had compared to 2023, the last elections in Anambra State, we had a higher voter turnout, right? Even the APC candidate had over 90,000 votes, close to that was even somebody that came second, right? So our elections, we've seen some level of, especially 2023 general election, we saw increased participation in our elections. So we are younger people are owning the process now because of social media. They are interacting more, they are coordinating more, and coming out on electoral day to vote. Although there's still a lot of electoral apathy, but away from the legislation, which they may want to play politics with it, we have to also raise our voices, use the tools of social media and the rest to call. And I believe that can work. But away from it working, do we now have a system that will allow it to work on election day? And will not have
that's exactly what I said. I said, even if there is an amendment of this electoral bill, what about the people? The problem we have in our electoral system, is it all about the bill? Or maybe the bill can give some standings for people who want to protest certain things.
Of course the bill will give, because the bill will now enable people more. In fact, one of the things that people are asking for is let us have it recorded that IREF can be attested to in court. So what we have online can be attested to in court. So let's have people, some person are even saying, let's have immediate upload of whatever voting that we are having on the go. So before you
real time,
before you get to, we already know this is the winner, and whatever winner we have on the IREF can be used substantially as a legal document backing INEC to announce that winner. So those are some of the things Nigerians are asking for. Because if you look at one of the elections, is it a number or whatever, one of the elections, if you go on INEC portal, you see the name that was seen as a winner. It's not the person that was announced, right? And some of these things are not admissible in courts. The court will tell you, yes, they can be used for checks and balances, but they are not admissible. So we have to more empower our technology that more than just coordination and giving us real-time
Meaning
information.
the court doesn't believe in technology.
No, the court will look at the law. What does the law say about admission of this and this?
Okay.
So let us have that. But there are also counter arguments that some persons could hack into it and program their own persons to win. So there are two sides to this. The National Assembly will carefully talk about it, deliberate on it, and come out with a position. But away from the position that they are taking, mine is, on that day, will Nigerians allow it to work? When the 2022 electoral bill is signed into law, we have it there that people should be prosecuted for electoral offences. And I told you I worked with INEC that year and everything. There were some certain electoral offences that were listed. How many persons? Okay, 2 professors that we heard that were sent to jail. But how many persons have been prosecuted? Vote buying is one day go. If you go on social media and click vote buying in a number election, let's even use the last election, you see people who were buying votes, who were selling votes, who have taken time to prosecute them. And our electoral offenses, it takes so much time. So people are asking, let's have special courts that will look into electoral matters. Pre-electoral matters should not exceed 3 months into power. So there are some of those things that people are asking. Electoral matters should not transit 6 months when somebody is sworn in, so that you can now focus on governance. Because there are persons that are getting into office and for 2, 3, 4 years you are still on electoral cases. So all of those things are,
and all of that could even be gimmick by politicians, maybe liaising with judicial officers to elongate the period of.
Our laws did not have those time frames.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What we are saying is,
so there could be connivance, or someone can connive and say,
we didn't know that you will need to settle it as soon as possible, so that the people can now focus. The evolution of society. We will get better, new ideas will come. But at my own is the implementation process.
All right, let me get to Ben. Ben, something is, there is a statement coming. Can you hear me, Ben?
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't know. Do you see an alliance between oppositions? Let's say, for instance, Sowore's party, ADC, PDP, NNPP coming together to form alliance against the All Progressive Congress in 2027. The reason why I'm asking this question is because Buba Galadima, you know who he is, have said,
yes.
He said political alliance, all right, can push APC out of office in 2027. So is there any possibility there? And do you see an alliance, all right, between opposition parties? Because everyone wants to run. Every party wants to have a presidential candidate.
Well, I don't think as of now that such thing will happen, because I do know that there was a time when Shore was asked to step down. He says no, that his party has to go ahead. He's not going to step down for anybody. And subsequently, another aspect of forming alliance, some of those individuals may likely be a mole in the political party, because they are the one that will soon get back to the APC and say, this is what we are planning, this is our strategy. For you to win election in Nigeria, you must be able to look at your critical support of the elite. And that is why when people talk about voters card, registered voters, voters turnover and all the likes, I think that there is more deeper issues if you want to win an election. Why are there being some series of endorsements? Why are politicians going to Niger State, for example, and some state of the federation, even the Afeni Ferrer, the other time, they another faction endorse President Bola Tinubu, why another faction endorse Peter Obi of Labour Party? So you just understand that even if all of them form this alliance, for example, let's look at the ADC, and you begin to ask who is going to get the ticket. Will Atiku Abubakar step down, for example, and begin to say, okay, he wants to become a fatherly role? The answer is no, because he wants to become a president. He has been in the corridors of power, and he's still active to contest election, because people know that in politics, for you to defeat an APC administration, you have to be thorough, you have to be strategic. Your plan and strategy has to be kept under your chest. You don't sell it out, irrespective of the million that is involved. But basically, I don't see anybody defeating President Bola Tinubu. I can say that I don't see it, except you will now tell me that the likes of President Bola Tinubu will say he is not contesting. Then we can now, APC can begin to look at the options that is available. But the way it is, somebody who has stayed for close to 30 years, he was once, in fact, he knew a bit Atiku Abubakar during the Abiola era in the 90s. So you begin to expect him to sit down and say, he said he was prepared for the job. And if you know Nigerian politics very well, these same individuals who were with the APC now they come to go to ADC, and some other political parties like the NNPP is coming. Anyway, I would say thumbs up, because when you look at the northern bloc, there is no how you will call prominent politician that you will not call a Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. That is not possible. So if you look at the likes of Atiku Abubakar, look and you begin to think of their strategy, they can as well make a push. But I'm guaranteeing you that President Bola Tinubu will not be sleeping or closing his eyes. He knows what to do at every period of time. Maybe the issue of the former APC chairman resigning, this is what the fruit has yielded to Abba Yusuf coming back to the APC. So what does that tell you? It means there is no opposition that can rival the APC as long as I'm concerned. Thank you.
You're bringing another angle altogether right now. All right. As it is right now, Usoro, I'm rounding off with you now because of our time. From what Ben has said, if these people drop disparities, and say, okay, all of us will come together and bring one person as a presidential candidate and push against APC, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that already the time is limited, because election is in, maybe let's say, 1 year time, by February next year, 2027. So they have limited time for that coordination. And I think that the position that we have are too self-centered to want to make that decision. Between Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, at least those are Umoyele Sowore that I know. At least something can change tomorrow, but Sowore that I know we will not abandon his movement, because the movement is strategically different. I've interacted with that movement for a couple of times. It's different from the normal Nigerian party. So they do not see themselves in company with this APC.
Are you trying to say it's an activist party?
That is what it is. It is an activist party. So they do not see themselves in with these people. So the AAC will not in any form want to go into the alliance. They may, but I don't think it's possible at this moment, right? And even if they go into the alliance, they want to project a candidate that is not stained with the normal Nigerian political longevity that will stay in power 20, 40 years and all of that. They would like to bring somebody fresh. And somebody fresh, in the Nigerian political system, you need, at least for you to contest for the office of a president, from what we've seen in history, you need to be in the political nation slide
all right.
for more than 30 years.
30 years.
Yes.
Well, that's a long time.
Buhari, apart from Goodluck Jonathan, I became a president by accident.
You go by accident. All right, let me just leave it there. That's true, because he didn't see it coming, so it's accidental.
So you have to be in the nation's politics for 30 years.
30 years. All right. I think that's where we'll be pegging it. You have to be in the Nigerian politics for about 30 years before you can find your feet really on ground, according to Ubom Usoro.
To become president.
To become president of this country, as a matter of fact, or even vie, to even think of vying for that position.
To vie, you can vie at any time.
At any time.
But for you to win, you have to be at
So one of the criteria is that
nobody's giving you, but that is the time you need to build a mobilization.
Are you sure that's not your perspective and your thinking?
It's not a tea party. We don't have time. I could give you the facts to that.
All right, maybe we'll do that some other time because of our time. So many thanks, Ubom Usoro, for joining us on Journalist Roundtable. Thank you very much, Bernard Essen, for joining us on Journalist Roundtable today. All right.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Everyone, this is the size of Journalist Hangout for today. But then, let's see what 2027 holds. Alliance, or what are you thinking? What about River State? APC or PDP, Wike or Fubara? All of this put together, we want to say thank you for being part of the program. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.